I mean, you Hilton and Funchess, pencil them in, on the left and the right side. And then that third spot, could it be Campbell? Could it be Deion Kane, who had a phenomenal camp last year until he tore his ACL? Darius Fountain is a name you've heard a lot, or is Chester Rogers, going to get a spot? I don't know. And then they worked out now his name's escaping me. The former Giants and Broncos.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Wide receiver yesterday.
Yeah.
Brandon Marshall. They worked out
Brandon Marshall, that's right.
Yeah, so I don't know. Boy, that's an interesting position to me right there. There is no question. The tight end spot, too, is interesting because you got four guys that I think are going to make the team, but to carry four tight ends is tough. So that's going to take away from another spot.
Well, we know Frank Reich likes his tight ends, but they just signed Zach Koch, and I think he's going to have to perform more on special teams because, with Jack Doyle, he's going to be the workhorse. I mean, we hope that that's another guy. I mean, let's talk about Jack Doyle. Jack Doyle, I love. He's a hometown guy, and you're on here to play the homer card with us. We can't play any more homer card than Jack Doyle. Jack Doyle's the man. But let's be real. For whatever reason, he's had a hard time with injuries. Obviously, just coming off a kidney injury, which I'm sure is no fun, but. I heard him on JMV this week, and or it was Dan Dawkins. It was one of the local shows, but basically he feels like he's ready to rock and roll, and that he feels better than he ever did. What are your thoughts about Jack Doyle? Are we worried about him at all? Because we depend on tight ends with the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, and I'm not worried because of the emergence of Eric Ebron. I mean, Ebron had literally a Pro Bowl season last year and very nearly an All-Pro season. Yes. So, I'm not worried about Jack Doyle because, you got guys behind Ebron and Doyle like, Mo Alley Cox, who can catch just about anything. And Ross Travis is an underrated tight end. I think he can play. So their tight end game is strong. Obviously the healthier are the better, but I'm not worried about Jack Doyle. I think he's going to have – he might be one of those guys that we talk about, well, how did he go and catch 12 touchdown passes, as we talked about Eric Ebron last year. The tight ends are going to be heavily relied on because they're going to – when defenses look at this offense, you're going to have to make a choice. There's too much. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts with the running game and the short passing game, or are you going to put 8-9 in a box and let T.Y. Hilton and maybe Campbell or Funchess guys beat you over the top? I mean, there's just too many weapons. This offense, if it clicks the way we all think it is, has the chance to be about as good as any offense that we've seen in 10 years in Indianapolis.
The Indianapolis Colts put Spencer Ware on the PUP list, which is physically unable to perform. For those that don't know the acronyms of the NFL. I'm not overly concerned, but Spencer Ware is one of those Swiss Army knives that we depend on.
Well, I think they wanted him to fill that short yardage role, if I had to take a guess. So they definitely don't have that at this point necessarily. Jordan Wilkins might be the guy that they give those 3rd and 1s to, but they'll miss Robert Turbin in that regard. He was uncanny being able to get those 3rd and shorts. But you look at, obviously Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines and Jordan Wilkins are going to be your main backs. But I would think this team would like to carry a 4th back. That's my hunch. I heard they worked out Akeem Hunt yesterday or the day before, and another former Patriots running back who I wasn't overly familiar with. So I think they will bring in a veteran back at this point to work the preseason, keep those guys' carries light in the preseason, but maybe have a chance to stick around and be that 4th running back once the regular season starts. That's one of those little roster questions that there's kind of those two spots. Do you keep a 4th running back? Do you keep a 5th wide receiver or a 6th wide receiver? Some teams do that, and that will directly impact your special teams. So that'll be a really interesting thing to watch. And it's kind of funny that we're already there again. when you think about the Colts camps of 10 and 15 years ago, that's what you watched at camp. You were like, well, I wonder how many tight ends they're going to carry. They're going to carry 3 or 4, because the long snapper at that time was a tight end. And so it's kind of funny that we're back there. We're not worried about who the starting right tackle is going to be. We know that. So it is kind of fun that we're now kind of looking at the back of the roster as much as anything else, really. I think there's a few interesting position battles, but for the most part, I think everything's pretty well set. I think some things will evolve, as they always do, throughout the season. But I think you can look at this depth chart and feel pretty comfortable saying, yeah, that looks like it's probably going to look on opening day in in Los Angeles.
I know we're playing the homer card, and that's kind of what we're doing in this segment. That's kind of what it's designed to do. But at the same time, take that aside, I think the Indianapolis Colts have all the weapons to be a significant team. We don't know what's going to happen. Who knows how or why Tom Brady continues to play at the level that he does, and they're going to be somebody to contend with. We saw Patrick Mahoney with the Chiefs last year. What a weapon he was. But look at how close we got at the beginning. Last year at this time, we would have been happy, hey, if we win 6 games or 7 games, we'll be okay. We're happy. We'll say it's a success. But to get really within arm's length of the AFC Championship game, coming from where we were at, I mean, we started out slow, but we finished hard. And hopefully that doesn't happen. Nobody ever wants to see it happen again. But certainly Kansas City, New England are the people that we look at. But other than that, I mean, I just think that I know the AFC South has gotten stronger, and we got Tennessee and Marcus Mariota. You got Jacksonville, Jolly old St. Nick's down there this year. And we're going to get all that in the next segment here with Ed Kractz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles, who's going to join us and talk in more depth on the national scale of the NFL. But I think the Colts are right there. They're right there. They are doing the right things, and I still think they have the potential to be in an AFC Championship game this year.
Yeah, I think they do too. I mean, when you look at the overall AFC, you don't find a flawless team, right? I mean, there's issues everywhere. Even taking out the age of Tom Brady, I think it's a question of who's his safety valve going to be. It was the tight end for so many years. And Gronkowski retires, and maybe he comes back halfway through the season. I don't think that's going to be the case, but we'll see. You never know. But until then, they've got to find a legitimate target. Now, that being said, they're still a 10-win team. You can look and find a lot of 10-win teams that can get lucky and win 12, and I really agree with Chris Ballard. I think for this team, this Colts team, it would be very important for them to at least get the bye week. And to do that, you've got to win 12 or 13 games. And I hate to be the party pooper. I just don't see 12 or 13 games out of this team. I think 10 or 11 is very realistic. And then maybe a luck into a 12th win. But I think 13, you've got to be closer to flawless. And I just don't see this team as being flawless. But that being said, I don't see anybody else either. Kansas City, Mahomes is fantastic, but he likes to throw the deep ball. Well, who's he going to throw the deep ball to? I mean, they've got weapons, don't get me wrong, and their tight end core is almost as good as the Colts. But I think they are still, it will be at least a question. It wouldn't surprise me to see Mahomes toss for 40, 45 touchdowns. But I think the question has to be answered is who's he going to throw the ball to? I think there is kind of a tiered system right now. I think it's Kansas City and New England. They're in the A tier. And then there's a bunch of teams with the Colts in that B tier. And that would not surprise me if the Colts or any of those second-tier teams made it to the AFC Championship game and got lucky and won it. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. And there's that weird thing, the Super Bowl's in Miami this year. It seems like the Colts like to go down there and play for some reason. So we'll see.
Well, I tell you what, that secondary group, if you want, they're all grouped up in the AFC South. I mean, really, any of those guys could do it. But, hey, if your football gods shine down and we want to have puppy dogs and butterflies. Wouldn't it be great to have a rematch with the Saints down in Miami? I'm just saying. Just saying. Hey, another stud I want to talk with you about before I let you go. Darius Leonard, number 5'3".
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, last year he set the bar high for himself. Can he deliver again this year? Of course, he plays a role that is high probability of injury. So you got to use him while you can use him, workhorse, or you can use him. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. I think that's my only concern there is if he can stay healthy, I would never second guess this guy. He is, all those cliches. He's got heart of the lion, eye of a tiger, whatever you want to say. He's got it. And if he's walking down one side of the street, I'm walking down the other. I mean, he is just a mean man on the football field.
He is.
So, I mean, and he gets it done. He might be, gosh, is he not the most exciting defensive player we've had here in several years? I don't want to discredit Freeney and Mathis and Sanders, but I mean, he is an exciting player to watch. He's around the ball all the time, and he is phenomenal. He can follow up with 85% of last season's productivity. It would be a success, but knowing this guy, I think he'll surpass it.
Well, you mentioned Mathis. I tell you what, we talk about players we've lost to retirement or whatever, or they moved on to other teams, and other players come up. This guy is in that category of Mathis and all the other great Freeney and all the other great defensive players that we have. Darius Leonard is the stud. All right, Matthew, we appreciate you joining us. I got to know though, did you watch Stranger Things?
No, I don't really watch. I'm kind of like that point in my life where I watch HGTV and History Channel. So
you've gotten to that point, huh? You've gotten to that point. Hey man, I'm a History Channel fan myself as well. And one of my it's on Comedy Central, but you mentioned history. You ever seen Drunk History? You gotta watch it.
I've seen
hilarious.
It. That's funny stuff. Funny stuff.
It's hilarious. Well, I was gonna get your thoughts on the season finale of Stranger Things, but
I would be no good to you there.
I like it so much a lot. I guess because I'm an '80s child myself, and it takes place in Indiana, obviously a fictional town. But they just you've probably seen the movie The Goonies and all of those '80s movies where the young kids are the camaraderie there is there. So, man. I was all geared up. Had you all teed up there, Matthew Hicks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry to let you down on that one. Hey, I do want to just real quick give a shout out. Actually, all over Indiana, a show airs called Network Indiana Sports Talk.
Mm-hmm. Very
and
familiar.
Bob Lovell is starting his 26th year, so it's been on the air for 25 years. And I got to go down to the old worldwide headquarters of Communications last night and see some old friends and be a part, a very, 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 very small part of the anniversary show. And that was a great time in my life. I worked on that show for parts of about 12 years. So Bob is just awesome. So I wanted to say congratulations to him and just point you in that direction. If you weren't aware, 25 years. That's like, for those that don't work in the media, like radio, 1 year is like dog years. So it's,
I know.
It's
literally, like, you make it 25 years.
700 years.
That's right.
I mean, that's unheard of.
You couldn't have placed it any better. And I've been in radio since I was 16 years old. And trust me, I know, I get it. People say, have you ever been fired? Well, yeah, I work in radio. I mean, that's just part of it.
The first job I ever got fired from was from radio, and we can do stories about that all day long.
Oh yeah, no, but Bob Lovell's great, and especially those that live here in Indiana know his coverage and his passion for high school football and basketball and baseball for that matter. There's another guy that comes on the show every now and then. You probably know him, but he's up there. He's been down there in Jasper for a long time, and his name's Walt Ferber.
I saw Walt last night. It was great to see him, and he is probably as much of a regular on that show as anybody is. And
I saw where
Walt great.
I saw on